What up, guys? This is Casey is Raw again, and I like to talk about reproduction games, bootlegs, and straight up pirate games. What's the difference? What is okay or not okay? I just want to give you guys like a guide to what I feel what is okay and what is not okay. It could vary from person to person, but I know to collectors like myself, or we hate seeing someone get scammed for a fake cartridge. So there's some stuff you gotta keep an eye out for, and there's some cool games. It's not all bad. There's some cool stuff that's being reproduction. Uh, and one of the cool things is like this: Super Mario Brothers for the Sega Genesis. I mean, look at that box art. That is pretty badass. I'm not gonna say it. You gotta be an idiot not to know Super Mario Brothers was not a Sega property. But if you play video games and you know a little bit, you should know Mario is just a Nintendo character. So honestly, this is their version of Super Mario Brothers. It looks close, but the sounds are way off from it. I mean, I got this from a store called Classic Game Junkie. I even still had the receipt from the. I think this was $50. I think me and my brother-in-law. Yeah, me and my brother-in-law picked this up for $50. We split that price, but it is pretty cool to have something like this. I mean, and then here's another thing. It's cool. When in the '90s, uh, before Saturn was coming out, there was the Sega Channel, and Capcom made remastered Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 in 16-bit graphics. But the thing is, I believe only Japan and Europe got a release, as in America, it was only on the Sega Channel. It was an add-on. It was way before the head of its time that you put another add-on into the Sega Genesis that would download 50 games, and this would be one of them. So someone either took the ROM out somehow from that, or most likely they probably took it out from the Japanese version. And like I said, this is a nice looking case. I probably bought it at the same store. One of the biggest tall tales you can look at these cartridges if they're fake, like right there. A lot of times those labels, how clean this label is, but it's coming up a little bit. And here's another one. Look at the back. Those screws are supposed to be metal. They're not plastic, so that's another way to look for it. You can open up the cart. If there's wiring inside the cartridge, that means it's fake. This is when I feel this is not cool. I went to a vintage stock, and they had this on their shelving. I was like, oh my god, this is the rare game. I didn't really look into it until they actually told me, oh, it's reproduction. I was like on the edge. I was like, do I get it? And then I started looking at it. I was like, well, yeah, same thing. Again, it had plastic screws. You had to look at the labels. The label, what kind of condition is. Um, that's supposed to say Nintendo. A lot of times on the back here, it would have a little imprint of numbers. And then you would open it up, and it most likely would either the board is small or it has wiring and stuff. But I could be an a-hole and sell this to somewhere and make get a ton of money, but that's just a wrong thing. I'd rather have it in my collection. I probably should go ahead and write fake, so no one, God forbid, something happens and someone sees this and tries to sell it. It's a repro. One of the first games. I'm not sure which came first or what, but I know I was kind of wanting to get this game. It's the California Raisins, the Great Escape. And this was an actual game made by Capcom that was going to come release. And it just never did. It just kind of fell by the wayside somehow. But the game was done. It just didn't get released. I played it. It's kind of hard kind of game for me. I like it. It's cool. It's not the best Capcom game in the world, but the box art's crazy. It looks pretty much like the real deal. Here's a real big catch. How you can tell it's fake. Look at the corner. If there's a website on an NES on an NES box, that equals fake. But something to me, this is kind of cool because this game actually never came out. You can't say, unless it's a prototype, that's one thing. But when it's all like game that, let's say this is a gray cartridge and it's already good to go, that's one. But if it's that, I wouldn't say it's good. But this never really came out, and there's probably a prototype somewhere. There must be a prototype because the ROM got leaked somehow. So I think stuff like this is kind of cool. Playing games that never actually got released. And then recently I picked this one up like half a year or so ago. I believe it's a shooter. I picked it up. You can obviously tell with the red casing. Yeah, Zelda is gold, but everything else is gray. NES gray. So obviously you cannot pass this as the real deal. So, shooter was okay. I was not a big fan of it, but I bought this pirate cartridge at Second Charles in Whitehall, Pennsylvania. And this actually has the 4 light gun shooter games. You have Hogan's Heroes. No, not Hogan's Heroes. Hogan's Alley. Hogan's Heroes. Wild Gunman. Duck Hunt. And some random Macross. Mallcross. I seen this, actually, one of the Game Chasers bought this, and I thought it was pretty cool to pick this one up. Because it didn't think I would come across this one ever, but, yeah, you can tell it's not real, because one, they usually collection in one, that screams fake. Plus, the cartridge is nowhere near the real thing, except the top close. The top looks close, but the ridge looks alright almost, but doesn't go all the way down. So that's not real. So, and I just did my Super Mario Brothers 2 video. And this is the ROM that has the Japanese version of Super Mario 2. I've seen this on eBay. I bought this at my local game store, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I figured why not? I mean, play it on the NES. And I think that's okay, because obviously, you can't say this is the real thing when it's a green, clear case. You can't say this is the real thing. And then we're getting a little bit more gray area. I mean, yeah, these are homebrew or hack games. They take the game of Super Mario World and they change it around. Like this one's called Super Mario World Return to Dinosaur Land. So it's just, I believe it's just a continuance of Super Mario World. I mean, here you got the metal screws. See if I can. The label almost looks good, but I don't see. You can see where the indent number, so that label's got to be fake. And you got to look at that logo. If it looks a little off, I mean, you can kind of see they didn't do the awesomest job in the logo. But at first I thought maybe this was a donor cart. And if you want to know what a donor cart is, it's just they pretty much take a game, mostly like it's a common game that no one cares, and they reuse the casing, and also they'll probably reuse the board, but they'll replace some chips and work around on the board to have a different game. And the one biggest things is there's certain games on the NES they would try. It was sucks because it's the Batman Revenge of the Joker or Return of the Joker. They would take that game and turn it into what's it? It's a rare game that's in Japan. The name escapes me, but you need that version of Batman game to transfer it over to this game. God, that not feeling that game blows my mind right now. And then here's another one for the Super Nintendo. It's Mega Man and Bass. And you can see right off the bat a couple things. Like, one is the plastic screws. Two, how clean the label is. But then also the labeling's always coming off on these reproductions. They can never get the everything right. I mean, you could look on this back label, it's not even close. Same thing as where it's missing the Nintendo logo, so you can tell automatically that's fake. But to me, this is okay because I think they took a GPA game and changed it down to a Super Nintendo game, or at least something happened. They transferred over the Super Nintendo game, but to me, I think that's okay. I mean, you can't say that as a real game. They can look it up and like, I never heard this game. And then these are more the next few is bootlegs that I got from across the seas. To me, I'm like, wow, I'm like, huh? Counterfeit games. To me, like, I'm not, this is just for my use. I'm not planning to sell these. Yeah, I could do the same thing as mark them fake or something. Hopefully, God forbid something happens, someone knows the difference from the real game and the fake game. But here's one thing: is rare game is Chippendale 2 Rescue Rangers for the Famicom, and this version is rare on the NES. And here's Flintstones. Surprise at the Dinosaur Peak. The same thing. Very rare game. This is a bootleg or a counterfeit. So this would be no cool to sell these at all because unless the only way I would say it's okay if you were straight up with the person and say these are not real. I'm not gonna try to screw you out of money. And I think that's the only way around this. But I'm not planning to sell those. And then you have the worst Contra game. Maybe next to the recent Contra just released on the Switch. I think it's just called Contra. But it's Contra Force. It's a horrible game. Another rare game on NES. Another knockoff. to me, this next one, it's Miller. This is the, this game should have came out the NES. It's the Earthbound version. It's before Earthbound. We eventually got this version on the Wii U in the eShop. I have it. I have this version as another one. So, but I believe this is also a reproduction because 25th anniversary. Yeah, it got Nintendo on it, but I'm like, I really think, and it does have the correct Famicom sticker on the back, but I believe this is a reproduction or translation in it. And then recently I picked up this 501 game. Well, there's so many reasons you could tell this is fake off the bat. Saying 501 games, even though it has a ton of games, but it might actually have that many on this for once. Usually when they have crazy amount of games, they usually lie. But to me, it's okay because if I sell this as real, well, to me, I'm like, obviously it's not okay to sell it as real, but green cart with that on her, it's kind of hard to get past. And then we're entering more of the hack homebrew version. This is obviously a Super Mario Brothers 1 homebrew version, or a hack, and it's a Christmas edition. And then this is Earthbound. This is supposed to be this is identical, pretty much. It's just the NES version. This is the other one. It's between this and California Raisin Game. I'm not sure which one came out first, but I love this version of Earthbound. This is another hack homebrew. They took the Legend of Zelda, the first Legend of Zelda game, and hacked, homebrewed it, and made it another game. It's kind of cool. I have a story about that. I'll tell it another time. And then here's one of the last ones. This is the most expensive one I have in the collection for $70. Is the Nintendo World Championship in 1990. But, well, if you can see right off the bat it says reproduction cartridge. Has a blue see-through casing. The only Nintendo logo is that right there. Even the seal quality is not the same. So, you can tell this is fake. So, this is just... I think this is okay, but I think the only way you can get around selling some of these other bootlegs and stuff is, I think, if you're straight up front and say, hey, these games are not real. So, I'm not going to try to screw you out of them, but... I'm not planning to sell these games anytime soon, so don't worry. But I'm going to do a quick video about this one because I got a BS story about this one. Thank you guys. See you later. Bye.